Good afternoon, Saskia, and thank you for letting me interview you today. As you know, this is the first session in a series of interviews that we want to do with our board members. And we would like to extend this to our chapter members as well. So if any chapter members are listening to this or watching this interview and are interested in being interviewed, please let us know. And
Thanks for having me, first of all, Maria, because I think it's a really, really great idea. I look forward to doing this. I'm looking forward to seeing other people as well, especially our members, participate in this idea.
Yeah. So let me start with the first question. Can you briefly explain how the chapter is organized?
Yes, our chapter is organized under Luxembourgish law as an ASBL, and it has the objective to promote and support the practice of project management, and also to promote the available training and certifications that can be done with PMI for the profession. So as we are an ASBL, it's our members, so it's a professional member association, and it's our members who vote, who elect a board of directors. All the board of director members are volunteers, so they will apply for a position, and then our members can vote for whoever they prefer in that position. And that board has as one sole job to execute the work that is required to deliver the value to our members. So we do that by observing a yearly cycle where we look at how our work that we're performing is being received. We collect feedback. By the way, regularly we also do surveys. So it's really important for us that our members give us feedback on that, fill in those surveys, because that's the way, one of the ways that we can collect feedback and do a better job for you. So we take learnings from that and incorporate that in a next year's annual plan. And that annual plan is obviously always adjusted to be completely aligned with the central PMI strategic objectives and goals. It's even got a formal approval cycle or step in the cycle with PMI. And so then finally, we go into that new year, and the board of directors again execute the work that is required to execute the plan and deliver the value to our members. Now, we have about 6 or 7 members of the board of directors, and obviously between the 6 or 7, we cannot do all of the work ourselves. So we are helped, a lot of the work is carried out by additional volunteers who they are not necessarily elected, but they are appointed to do some of the tactical or even leading and strategic work in and with and for the chapter. So it's a chapter for members by members, if you like.
And how has the pandemic changed the life and the functioning of the chapter, and what has been the biggest challenge for the chapter?
Oh, yes. I'm not sure if we can talk about that in the past tense because we're still way in the middle of this. So if I look back to early March, we were in the middle of organizing our upcoming event at that time was with a team of Italian project management consultants. And they were going to come over for a workshop, and we're all looking forward to that. But then obviously Italy was the first epicenter in Europe. So we quickly had to decide to cancel that session. And naively, we thought, oh, we'll just shift it to April. Then about a week later, the lockdown was called out for Luxembourg, and we had to cancel all of our face-to-face events for the next foreseeable future. Then obviously it's not just about what do we do with the events, but how do you keep everything going? How do you keep in contact with membership where usually all of your interactions are about platform for networking, are about meeting people, about seeing each other face to face. So we kind of really had to completely reinvent the value proposition of PMI chapter for our members. And to be perfectly honest, we haven't even finished that. We're having a leadership meeting with other PMI chapters in a couple of weeks, and it's again on the agenda of how can we best adapt to what our members need. And to a certain extent, it's even what do our members need, because the new normal is different for everyone. Okay, I know we have a member who is mother of 4 children who she had to homeschool. We have people who've lost their jobs, unfortunately, as well. We've got others who were furloughed for a while and completely switched off to find their own ways of coping with this difficult situation. So we introduced Zoom meetings or Zoom or other platforms. We introduced like member exchange meetings virtually, digitally. But even those are a challenge because many of us spend now our days from morning till evening behind the screen doing all of our interaction with colleagues in a digital, on some kind of digital platform. And then often at 6 o'clock, you're just completely, okay, you're completely screened out. I mean, you don't want to, the last thing you want to do is have another meeting on in your private time behind the screen. So effectively today, we're still only reaching a very small amount of our members through our events and our digital exchanges, despite actually having offered a lot more content hours in the year this year than we have in any of the previous years, but we still feel that that contact is really missing with our members, and it's very, very difficult for us board to carry on the work for the chapter without having that personal contact also. For many of us, and not least me, that personal content was really what gave me the most satisfaction as well. Mm-hmm. So there was nothing else than a successful event when I'd come home at 10 o'clock afterwards, and I'd be buzzing with ideas or with energy from that. And that's just gone now. So we need to find other ways of doing that, and other ways of finding the energy to keep on going.
Okay. PMI has recently completed a major rebranding. Can you tell us more about the reasons behind that, and about the new chapter, about the new chapter logo?
Yes, it's. I like how you asked the question, because really there's more behind it than the chapter logo. It's a complete brand refresh. This is what the change is really about, and we needed a brand refresh because I believe since 50 years, this is only the second time the logo changes, second or the third time. Mm-hmm. So it's been really over 50 years. There's been a lot of constants, and if you look at how the world is changing today, that there's no way that can work. We cannot use the same tools, the same philosophy, methodologies as 20 years ago, and just think that that's going to work like it did 20 years ago. So if we talk about new logo, it's really only just a small part of the whole brand refresh. The brand refresh being about the project economy, where we say we as PMI, we power the project economy, we strengthen society and enable organizations and people to turn ideas into reality. And that comes with a whole symbol language. So you might have seen in communication from PMI that there's 10 new unique symbols that make up what we call the language of the project management, the project economy. And those symbols all stand for skills, characteristics, and tools that are needed for project management in the future. You know, we often say project management in the future, and it's there already today, will more and more, the technical skills will more and more be replaced by artificial intelligence. So what's going to become much more important in the future And again, that's the change, and hence the brand refresh. What's going to become much more important in the future is what we call the power skills, or the soft skills. And so lots of those symbols stand for collaboration, determination, resilience, change, innovation, teamwork, growth, vision, etc. I'm not naming them all here, but that's really what the change and the brand refresh is about. And there's been, like always with change, a lot of controversy around the look of the logo. Is it good? Is it not good? I personally like it, but you know, it's bright, it's colorful, it's got energy. It's a bit like my scarf. Okay, it's not exactly
Definitely
right,
stands out.
but it's there, you know. But the one thing there should not be any controversy about is that we need change, and that's the whole idea. And that's what we're bringing. And there's a whole roadmap of changes. Changes to the membership model, changes to the certifications that are going to come over the years, over the next months and years. So there's a whole lot of change. You've only just seen the beginning.
Okay, so there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
And for you personally, what is the best part about being a chapter member?
That's a good question. Because I've been in several places, if you like, in the chapter. I first was invited to join the chapter by a friend of mine who is now also on the chapter board, and who was a couple of years ago. He then invited me, or I was then invited by the board to take part in a panel discussion, which was the first time something really sparked in me. I felt like, this is a place where I belong, and this is a place where what I do is really relevant. Because in your day-to-day life, sometimes you can downplay what you're doing, or it's not always, you know how it is in your workplace. You don't always get thanked for every good bit of work that you do. So that was the first time with something really sparking in me. So from there, I organized an event in my own company that was very, very well received by the membership. And guess what? A month later, there were elections, and I applied and I got in. So I was on the board of directors from then on. So that changed my role. I went from a member to a very active member to an engaged volunteer, and then to an elected volunteer. I took care of membership and of volunteers for a couple of years before being elected as a president 2 years ago, practically almost 2 years ago. And I think this is the role where I've had the most possibility to influence, to deliver, to decide where we're going to go forwards, and to really feel that I can make a difference in giving back to this community where I feel I belong. So it's also taken me, board of directors and the president position is also taking me closer to other fellow chapters in Europe, where I've made a lot of friends. And I mean, truly, we call it the PMI family, but it's truly the feeling that you have. So the different roles, the different positions have given me different things, but I think at this time in my career, at my age, it's more important for me to give back than to learn something myself. And I guess by doing that, I'm learning a lot as well by leading the chapter. So I really enjoyed the role that I have now, despite the difficulty, like I said before, that we have in facing this pandemic situation and having to reinvent the world and the value proposition.
Let's get a bit more personal. Apart from the project management, what are you passionate about?
I'm passionate about my family, but if I'm going to be honest, I'm really, really passionate about food. I'm a true foodie. I love eating well, but I also love cooking. So it's not just going out and enjoying the food. I like feeding other people. I like experimenting. I love Southeast Asian cuisine, but I also like your typical French classics, for instance. My children have also been brought into that, basically from when they were early young teenagers. We started involving them in the cooking. So everybody in the house had to cook once a week, and So that's actually turned my son into my biggest critic, but also into a young man who's perfectly able to cook a really nice meal, and that's great. So food is my other passion.
Okay. Do you have a role model? And if you do, who is it?
Phew, no, I don't think I'm going to have to disappoint you. I don't think I really have a role model. I admire lots of people, but I think I'm really driven by a couple of core values, which probably come from a mix of my upbringing and my experience in life so far. I strongly believe in tolerance, respectful tolerance, integrity, very important, and kindness. So if I say I'm passionate about giving back, and that's something important to me in the chapter, it's part of this kindness. It's helping people rather than trying to shine, and seem better than others. And I think that if you go through life with that kind of spirit, you'll find many people mirror that, and so appreciate that and mirror that, and somehow you see more of that behavior, you recognize more of that behavior, and it looks like the world is a bit of a better place to me.
Now that we are in pandemic times and we can't really travel, where would you like to go on a dream vacation?
Oh, we've got lots of time to think about that at the moment. Well, I think I've been fortunate. I've seen a couple of nice places, but then there's also a lot of places I haven't seen yet. I'm a big fan of Europe. I think we've got great culture, architecture, but I also like Africa. So I had the opportunity of going to South Africa a couple of times, fell in love with the country. I would also like to discover north of Europe, so Scandinavia, for instance. You can blame it on the weather, because having limited holidays per year, we always try to make sure we do it somewhere where we don't need to wear woolen socks or raincoats. But plenty of places, even also in the Mediterranean Sea, lots of islands I haven't seen. But I guess there's one constant, and it goes back to what you asked me before, is that wherever I go, and part of my holidays absolutely is being outdoors, but it's also sampling the culture through the food. And then very often you'll find us coming back from holiday, and then we try and imitate and cook those dishes as well. So again, food and culture goes together and is important to me, yeah.
And that was actually the last question I had for you today.
Thank you. It's been really nice talking to you, Maria.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you very much as well for your time and for letting me do this interview with you. And I hope soon we continue with other board members and chapter members as announced.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice afternoon.
You too.
Bye.